And from that data pool, users will be able to extract whatever they want, whether it's population information, economic information, health information. They'll be able to extract it on the fly. It'll be dynamic. It'll always be refreshed so that they'll always have a sense that it's current information. So Wilder will be working with us over the course of the year to develop that data pool and then to repurpose it into our new site. And I'll be talking a little bit about our new site. The Bush Foundation money supports not only Wilder's work in creating this data pool for us, but also our effort to redesign our site to make it more navigable, easier to use, and to use this data that we're getting from Wilder. Just to give you a little sense of the timeline, we'll be spending the first quarter of this year working on identifying the key indicators that we're going to use, working with Wilder to get as they start to aggregate that data and create kind of the base that they need. In the spring, we'll begin to test and put some of that data up in a context of our old site, so this site, right, our current site. Then in the summer, we'll be getting to the point where we'll beta launch the new site. And that's being, we'll talk later, but that's being developed for us by a consulting team also in Minneapolis, St. Paul, with the wonderful name, The Nerdery. So, incubate nerds there. And by the fall, we'll be up and flying with this new site. Now, Bush gave us the money because they hope that our project will serve as a model for the whole state. And that has yet to be, will be defined over the course of the year how this can become a statewide project. You know, our major focus here has been local, local, local. So we don't want, in migrating to a statewide site, to lose that focus on the local. We may create a statewide entity that has 4 or 5 regions to it from throughout South Dakota, and the Black Hills will remain a unique region within that. Whatever we do, Wilder, in the course of building their immense data pool, is going to build it for all of South Dakota, so that when we're ready with whatever the structure is, that data pool is ready to fly into the site for Brookings or for Sioux Falls or for Watertown or whatever other community. So we're very excited about that project, and you'll be hearing more about it as we go. Any questions about the Bush-Wilder collaboration? And you know, I encourage you, if you want to play around with the Minnesota Compass project and just get a sense of the kinds of things that they do. Stephanie's now going to walk us through a little bit just of what we've been doing. You may remember that in the fall we did some focus groups, and we had a meeting with our content advisors. We got a lot of great suggestions. Stephanie's going to talk a little bit about what we've done with some of those things.
We did a variety of things to get feedback from both the public, and our partner libraries, and then also from the people who would be using the site. We tried to target people who were current users also. And the focus groups were held in Rapid City, Custer, and Spearfish. We tried to do a Central Hills, a Northern Hills, and a Southern Hills. I think overall we had probably about between 30 and 40 participants for all 3 focus groups, and we got some excellent feedback. We also have a content advisory board, and this is a group who meets regularly, unlike the focus groups. And the idea here is help us find what content you need. And so they're representatives from nonprofits, governments, and the business community. And the one focus group we held in the fall was such a hit that we thought we would do them yearly, and they asked us to do them semi-yearly. Right. So they're very excited to be a part of this, and they're very excited about what we're doing and where we're going with this project. And then, in addition to the focus groups and the content advisory board, Michelle Kane from, I'm sorry, what is your?
Black Hills PR.
Yes, is our consultant on marketing and through social networking and other methods too. And Michelle called the partner libraries this fall and had lengthy conversations, I know, with our CPL, so I'm assuming you had the same with Sturgis and Whitewood also, to find out what our partner libraries also need as far as the site goes. And taking the feedback from those 3 groups, we found the following. First, the value of information. The groups were very excited about what we're doing. They believe in it. They know that it's hard to find that local information online, that there's things people think should be online, and they do a Google search, and they get 1 million hits, and they can't find what they need out of the 1 million hits. So what we're doing is important. There's value in it. And what's on the Black Hills Knowledge Network has to be credible, relevant, and not found elsewhere. They confirmed what we already knew regarding that. Being able to use the site easily and finding what you need on the site easily was very important. So usability and navigability were critical to the success of the site. And they wanted to be able to search the site and then drill down from that search and find what they needed. And they also wanted to have a lot of visuals on the site, but be able to interact with those visuals and pull from them what they needed. Okay, and then for content, they wanted us to fill the empty spots on the site. They said, that discourages users from using the site. And we'll talk about what we did as far as that went. More visualizations. Content not found elsewhere, add to this site. Obituaries and genealogical information were mentioned several times in both the focus groups and then the conversations that Michelle had with the partner libraries. To get content on the site, volunteer coordination, assistance, and training is also necessary. And this is a conversation we're going to have at a later date, but how do we get volunteers and people from the community involved in adding content to the site? And then finally, regarding the site itself, making the homepage easier to use. For example, putting a home button in a prominent place in the site was very important. Some of the items were slow loading, and we needed to get them to load more quickly. And then find a way for our users to add content, which is something we're going to do further down the line. But as a result of these conversations, there are several things that we accomplished on the site. There's now a federated search, and this is to aid how people can find information on the site. I'm going to do a demo, for example, and give you an idea of what this looks like. Just this morning, we looked for information on Pine Ridge. So I'm just going to type in Pine Ridge. And I get results from the Knowledge Network. And then I get results also from the community archives. So it's pulling from those two places. Nothing found in Digo at this point, but it also pulls from our Digo sites. Has anybody had a chance to use the federated search function? That's worth taking a look at today when you get a chance during the training portion.
This was a complaint we had a lot, that you put in a search and it wouldn't turn up information that you knew was there. The reason was we've essentially right now got 3 different bodies of software working, and they don't talk to each other, and that's part of what we're asking the nerdery to help us solve, is to get those things to talk to each other. But for now, we've done a workaround. Our programmer, Joe Cass, has created this federated search that at least gives it to you all in one place, even if it's in the 3 different boxes.
Very nice. The home page, we want to do some work to make it both very appealing for the public who have not seen the Black Hills Knowledge Network, and then also make it very usable for those who are regular users of the site and first-time users, frankly. So one of the things we're going to do is make the menu and its segments easier to access by doing a sliding menu where this picture is. Eric, can you describe it any better than that?
Well, one of the major complaints we've had is that people don't understand sort of what's available on the site. So much as you've seen on other sites where, what I think the Rapid City Journal does this, you've got a series of maybe 6 stories that are revolving with a photograph. We're going to lay that in here for the interim probably 4 or 5 slides, one on community archives that explains what that is, one on the research files that we created in DIGO and what that is and how to use it, and one on the community indicators, what that is and how to use it, and probably a couple of other things. But so that users right away, just in that quick slideshow, will get a sense of the richness of the site and what you can do.
Its major content components. Community indicators. This was the idea that we need this data and this information, and we need more of it. That came from the focus groups and from our content advisory committee. And so, as an example of what's been done, the agricultural census is now linked. This is a research or a resource page on this topic. And it's also listed by county profiles, so we can pull our own county and link to it from this source.
Rita or Marjorie, have you guys used the agricultural census at all for patrons? So every 5 years, the U.S. Department of Agriculture does a census of agriculture all across the United States. How many chickens, how many cows, how many, bushels of wheat get produced. But it also actually looks at rural life. So for example, how many people have internet in their homes in rural communities. So it's a really rich data source. Now they don't do it, and they do it every 5 years. So the last one was in 2007. But they also produce a county by county profile. So you don't have to mess around inside there. You can get the Meade County data in a profile. And what we've done is pulled that up right there so that whole PDF is available right away. The number of farms. And the wonderful thing is this goes back a long way, so there's historical data there too. If you want to see the change since 1950 or whatever. It helps you to understand the community.
And you can copy this PDF link and just put a link right in your community's website to this.
Well, it's already there.
For us
we have already put it into each county's work and economy section. The county's work and economy section.
More local government news, including links to cities, counties, and school boards. People want easy access to these things, and so we put more links to the local governments into each person's site.
I'm sorry, Stephanie, can you go back to the site just for a second? I wanted to show them. We are trying, in addition to making the data available like that, if you pick up, why don't we go to Meade County and civic life and history. So we're trying to aggregate data across all sectors of our society and go all the way down to religion. Or actually, you've got to click into civic life and history.
Oh, okay.
So one thing that we've recently added for each community right here is there's a national study that aggregates information about religion and religious affiliation. And so what we've done is put up that information here, and if you click on see the most recent data in a graph, click here. So you can see how many people in each county, according to this study, are evangelical Protestant versus mainline Protestant versus Roman Catholic, and how your county compares to the rest of the state and to the United States. So it's interesting, you can see here that, for example, Meade County is far less mainline Protestant than the rest of the state.
This is an example of something that's hard to find. The census doesn't track religious information, and very few have this kind of information on hand. So
this is from a 2000 survey. But we want to make more charts and stuff.
Is the date on the chart?
It's in the text, not on the chart. We need to add it to the chart. I noticed that too.
Completed a content audit, and we're using the data from that audit to fill the empty pages on the site, which we heard back from our content advisors that should be a priority for us. And I think you're going to talk more about the content audit later, so let's start on that. New content DM upgrades. They're now in content DM 6. And you get things with this upgrade like a little slideshow, a mini slideshow right on the home page of your site's photos. Whoa, although I'm not find the right link to show you that little slideshow. Maybe one of these has it. There, it's this. And it's what our little slideshow is showing is the latest additions to the archive, so it changes regularly.
Rebecca, how many items do we now have in the company?
Over 600.
Yeah, so it's really getting to be a rich resource. Black Hills Corporation let us put up newsletters from the 1950s and 60s, maybe even the 40s, all digitized, all OCR. So if you had a grandmother that worked for Black Hills Corporation, you can type in their name into the search bar, and if they were mentioned in a newsletter, it'll come up and I'll find it right away. So it's really a tremendous resource that they've given us, and it's a model for what we hope to do with other businesses and organizations in the community.
Are those newsletters updated, or they're already uploaded?
They're all
Even on the
uploaded.
website?
Yeah.
So that would be very interesting to talk about on Facebook too.
Yeah. We are planning to do a press release with Black Hills Corp, and particularly we want to market inside the corporation.
Yeah.
More information on American Indian history, and this resulted in a Pine Ridge Indian Reservation resource page on the history. And then also, we heard from the partners that they wanted more training resources, and so we did some additions to the members only page. And I'm going to pull that up. We have our background documents that show what kind of items to put in the content. They're guidelines to sort of pull everybody's postings together and make sure that we have common elements to make everything kind of uniform, even across the sites. And here's the content development guidelines, and then the content posting guidelines. Just yesterday, I added the sources for tracking issues and community information. This is what, oh, I'm not allowed in because I'm not logged in. But this is what our CPL uses to track local issues. And these are the content criteria sheets, is what we call them, that were developed by the staff. Feel free to use the same resources we use to find local issues. We find that we use a lot of the Journal and Coda TV and Arts News from the Doll. And I think that just goes right across the Black Hills. I think it pertains to every community. So don't start from scratch on that. Just add to what we've done. But then let us know, because we always are looking for new sources and want to know what you found also. So,
Stephanie, have you guys set up any Google alerts just for any specific keywords?
no, we haven't. Google Alerts.
You can do that within the Google Reader, and it's a great way just to aggregate. And it's pretty timely. I mean, once something's posted out there, within a couple hours, it could be within a Google alert, just depending on what your keywords are.
I would encourage every library to set one up for their community. Just put in a Google alert for Sturgis, so that every time there's a news story, because you know you're going to catch what's local, but you never know when there might be something that's
way out. Yeah.
I ran across a great story, for example, about Rapid City that was in a Hotel Trade magazine that showed up that I wouldn't have found any other way.
Yep.
So it's a good way to pay attention to what might be written about your community.
Yeah. And just one other note, social media posts, comments, and more blogs are being indexed. So Google is finding these a little bit quicker. So
Do we have in our members' information a statistical FAQ? Just this conversation, do we have that documented anywhere?
You mean like Google Analytics?
Yeah, like Google Analytics.
Yeah, and to be adding to this as we learn.
I don't think we've included that. I'm pretty sure we have it on this site, but it's a good idea on how we track statistics and watch our overall.
So you don't think it's on the site?
I don't think it's on members only, but
Yeah.
it can be.
And then we update it as we learn?
Yeah.
That would be
Right now we're doing Google Analytics to tell us what the traffic is to the whole site. But as we move forward with our work with the nerdery, one of the things that we want to do for our partner libraries is really be able to separate, to get much more fine-grained, to know who's going to your portions of the site, what they're looking at, how long they're looking at it, because in the end, as Michelle keeps coaching us, we really want to be user-driven in terms of the content we're creating. So the more we know about what people are looking for, the more we'll know about what we ought to be putting out.
I think.
Can you click on the Pine Ridge one for just a second?
Sure.
Yeah. One of the things we have struggled with throughout the project is that we've divided, in terms of thinking about the project geographically, we've divided it into the region, counties, and cities, towns. Well, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation is not one of those three things, and yet it's a distinct entity, a geographic entity. So in our redesign, one of the things we want to do is clearly make it an option for people as a separate geographic entity. Right now, we've solved that problem just by creating this kind of resource page for the Pine Ridge Reservation. So here's where you can get to data and information that applies to the whole reservation. And we're even before the nerdery does their work, we're having the map redesigned that you see on the website, so that we can, one, include some of our new communities like Lead, welcome them into the partnership, but also we're going to draw it so that you'll see that Pine Ridge is a unique geographical entity, and you can click on Pine Ridge to get access to information about Pine Ridge. They just probably, we won't be able to get them into the mega menus at the top until we do our work with them.
Hey, Eric, is there any way that we can get rid of that May date up there? Because that's always something when it's like, I look at it, it's like, well, what is that, the last post? But it's really not a post. It's more informational. I just wonder if that's
a good question, though.
Just kind of might send the wrong message of like, it's not even updated.
It might just be one simple click on that article. So
so maybe just removing that date, because it's still great information, but it's more informational and kind of overview focused. You see that date, and we're all used to looking at it. It's like, oh,
that's old.
That's
Eric, I'm wondering, have we explored any partnerships within Pine Ridge?
Yes. When we launched the project, we were wanting to partner with the OLC library. And we sort of had a tentative agreement that they were going to do that, but then there was some changeover in staff, and that hasn't worked out. So we're not giving up on it. We hope that they will still come in. We also want to partner with the local media down there. So we have had some conversations with Kiwi, and we had some initial conversations with, which of the newspapers?
Native Sundays?
Lakota something.
Lakota Country Times?
Yeah, Lakota Country Times.
Yeah. So we're working on that. We got a grant from the South Dakota Humanities Council to be able to bring Craig Howe in as our consultant for, as our curator for American Indian content. Craig is from Martin, South Dakota, lives down there now. He teaches at OLC, PhD in, really interesting PhD in anthropology and architecture. And he is actually designing and building a research and learning center down in Martin for studying Lakota history, culture, and environment too. So he's been very helpful to us in helping to curate the content and also to help us develop like the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation content. And if you get a chance, I really recommend you look at some of that Pine Ridge content, because he's gone into great details, especially, for example, on their history section. So you can link to every one of the treaties. You can go right to all the treaties. You can go to the court decisions. You can go to the history of the tribe and its government organization. Really great resources, and I think it's a good model for the rest of us about what we can do with our own communities.
I think we're to content development and the mini grant program.
So one of the things that the Bush grant and our grant from the Knight Foundation allows for is that we are going to be launching a grant program for our partner libraries. Under this program, partner libraries can apply for up to $1,500 for a grant to develop some unique piece of content or body of content. And we're trying to be very flexible. We're trying to be very flexible about this because we don't want to dictate. We want you to tell us what content your community wants. And so there are just a couple of kind of guidelines to it. One, you have to be a member library to apply for the grant, so you have to be part of our project. Two, you have to, and the only other thing is to qualify, you have to keep us up to date on your in-kind contributions. We've got, this is a really important, our auditor is on our case to make sure that we're tracking those in-kind contributions. So there's on the members only site, in case you haven't seen it, there's a form you can fill out that tells us how many hours you've put in. And our main concern is that in the letter that you guys sent us, sort of becoming a part of the partnership, you committed a certain number of hours. We just need to be able to document that that's in process and on track. So if you could do that, that'd be great.
Thank you for saying that in such a nice way. Get your stuff in.
But you'll need to do that to be able to apply for the grant. So other than that, we're asking for a very short application, no more than 500 words. We want you to describe what the project is and how you're going to do it, basically. Now, the projects have to be above and beyond what you would normally do for the site. And so one of the things I'm also passing out is a draft of what we're calling Library Partnership Program Expectations. And this is draft because I'd like any feedback on it today, but it's what you can expect from us and what we can expect from the partner libraries. And if we've missed something, I want to know that. But it also is useful in terms of the grant because it gives you a sense of, your project has to be something above and beyond what we're sort of asking you to do as a baseline. So you may have a community, a great body of material that you want to put up into the archive, a collection of photographs, a collection of documents. Or you may have a local media provider, a local newspaper, or even a local newsletter that is not widely available. You want to make it more accessible, searchable, for example, so that people can get to it. And you want to partner with that organization, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or something else, to get their back issues up or make them available or something like that. That would be eligible for the project. It may be that in your community nobody knows where this kind of information is, and whatever it is. And you want to be able to organize it and spend some time organizing it, getting it all together, that might qualify. So we're looking for something that's unique and above and beyond. Help us push this project along. Okay? And you can look over the grant application. If you have any questions about it, just send me an email or give me a call for explanation. But let me talk briefly about the Library Partnership Program expectations because they're kind of embedded into the grant program and I'd like some feedback. First of all, what can you expect of us? Well, we're committed to providing continuous improvement in the content and the navigation of the site. So you should hold us accountable on that. We are committed to regular communications regarding new features and issues. We try to do that through Stephanie's weekly update. And we're going to try and do that in an expanded version because as project director I want to be communicating with a broader constituency. We have a lot of people now who are interested in our project and we want to be sending them regular communications which will include you in blue. We are committed to providing ongoing training and support so that you feel comfortable adding content and making this useful for your library patrons. So one of the things we want to do in 2012 is we want to have monthly trainings. We hope that we can do, not all of them we have to drive in, but that we can do some on the web as webinars. The other thing that we are going to begin doing, we sort of hope to launch today, but I think we're going to wait, is that we actually want to start creating a management group of the directors of each one of the libraries, or their designee, that will begin to help manage and guide the project and make decisions. And particularly as we move forward with the nerdery, in terms of telling them what we want the site to do, we want it to be a joint decision. You can expect us to help provide marketing support, which we've done through Michelle, and which we will continue to do. We're going to invest, as we move forward, we'll be investing dollars in marketing the site, and we will be investing dollars not only to sort of market the site generally, but also we want to invest some dollars in creating some products for you that you can use within your libraries to help market the knowledge. And we are committed to giving you opportunities to help direct the project. So that's part of that management initiative we're talking about. One of the goals of the project over this next year is actually to fledge it to its own entity. Right now it's been housed within the Black Hills Area Community Foundation, which the point of the Community Foundation is to help spark and generate and catalyze new projects, new things in the community, but eventually they need to find a home within their true constituency. And clearly the true constituency for this project is not only libraries, but perhaps local city governments, local county governments, school boards, and even nonprofits. And so by the end of the year, we're hoping to create some entity that will take over the project permanently. So what do we expect of the member libraries? We expect regular postings and content updates based on the in-kind commitment made in the library's letter of support of the project. This means, and we talked about this at the last training, I think Jason did a really great overview, kind of the information ecology in your community. We're expecting you to monitor who's posting new information in your community. Look, there's 3 categories: local media, local government, and local nonprofits. So if your community is served by the Rapid City Journal or by the Black Hills Pioneer, we expect you regularly, and it's up to you to decide what regularly is. I mean, if it's every day, if it's once a week, if it's once a month in some communities, to know what the local media is providing about information about your community. And again, we're always looking for what I call permanent information. We're not looking for the information about which team wins a sports game or the latest traffic accident or anything that we think in a sense is transient. But that information that helps us build a permanent body of knowledge about your community is what we think is important for the knowledge network to be aggregated. So we're looking for you to do that. Look at the local media. Look at what is your city posting. Now, Stephanie kind of made the point that one of the things we aspire to is unique information, but I actually self-pedal that. I don't think we are aspiring necessarily to produce unique information because we are not so much content generators. We're not a news staff. We're not out there writing news stories. But it's our belief in this project that there's a lot of information out there that people don't know how to get to. And you as librarians know that's really true. And so our goal is to facilitate people's access to that information and to help them understand it. So if your local government is posting new information to your site, we should be working with that information to help people find it. So, and understand it. So, you know, when the Pennington County wrestled with their septic tank ordinance, Stephanie created a resource page all about septic tanks and what was going on and how to understand that information. So that's our goal, is to be able to help people understand underneath the headlines. And similarly with your local nonprofits, some of them will have monthly newsletters. We should be scanning those monthly newsletters to know what are they talking about that's new, that maybe doesn't necessarily make it into the newspaper because nobody got hurt, maimed, or whatever in the process. But it's still community news, and we want to make sure that people have access to it. So the second thing that we expect of you, so we expect that ongoing monitoring of the local information ecology. We expect you to promote the site within your library. And we're hoping that you don't promote it because we tell you have to. We're hoping it's actually useful to your patrons and that you're happy to promote it because it actually solves a problem for you and it solves a problem for your patrons.
Lisa can speak on this. She made the legislative page for the Black Hills Knowledge Network. And Lisa, what are you going to do to promote this?
I have emailed Black Hills area legislators and city officials, and I am also attending the Cracker Barrels, and I'll be contacting legislators there too, just telling people we're there about the site.
Are we having video? Is anybody videotaping the Cracker Barrels?
We can take her.
It'd be great to just post those as videos.
Can we? I mean, they don't. It's
they're public, absolutely,
okay.
yeah. And then we also expect you to tell us when you've got a good idea. When there's something that we should be doing, please let us know. Okay. So are these expectations, both for what you can expect from us and from what we can expect to you, are they fair, reasonable? Great. So we are looking forward to your grant proposals and to what you'd like to do with this.
Okay. What's coming next? We talked about the focus groups, the content advisory committees, feedback from the partners, and then we talked about what we've done as a result of that information. But what are we doing next? And please turn to the item that says revised for distribution, October 17th, 2011.
That's what I'm passing out.
Okay, what this is a request for, what does RFP stand for? Request for proposals.
Yeah.
For the development of the website, for things that we cannot do locally. And what we want is a consultant to work on what's possible and how we can improve our site.
Well, this is what we sent out in the fall, and this is what the nerdery responded to.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, good.
And then,
I just didn't want to make them think that we were going to start over.
No. And then what steps we need to take to adopt what the consultant recommends for us. And so if you'll turn to page 2 of the proposal, we wanted to make it clear who we're trying to target with the Black Hills Knowledge Network. When we heard back from developers, I think we even had a conversation at an airport regarding this one.
More than one.
But they said, it would really help if you're very specific about who your market audience is. And I thought, well, in today's meeting, we can talk about this too, because Eric wrote up some typical users, and he gave sort of a background on who they are. For example, if you look at Bill Bordeaux, it reminds me of a murder mystery dinner feature, oddly enough. But Bill Bordeaux is our government nonprofit worker. And he grew up in a small town in the Black Hills. And he's back as the economic